I don't usually get like too deep into this kind of topic, and I mean, you can listen or don't, doesn't matter. But Emmanuel Macron, a lot of people think he's the Antichrist because his name is Emmanuel, but it's not him. And he's part of it, though. He's probably one of the 10 kings or whatever that give their power over to the Antichrist. Especially since I'm pretty positive his land that he's the president of, most of CERN is in France, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. And CERN is the portal to the bottomless pit. You can go look it up. They do satanic rituals there all the time. So Salem, Massachusetts, where it's probably 60 miles from where I live, maybe a little further, is where the Baphomet statue is. The International Satanic Church headquarters is in Salem, Massachusetts. And there is a ton of rainbow flags there. They're everywhere. What is the connection between homosexuality, Satanism, and transgenderism? It's because Obama, the Antichrist, is gay. Michael is a dude dressed as a woman. Why? Because the Baphomet has breasts and male genitalia. It is the Baphomet, the goat, is transgender. That's the connection. That's why they had two men kiss in front of the statue when they inaugurated it. Demons live in statues. There is an actual demon living in the Baphomet statue, and all Mary statues, and all Joseph statues, and all Jesus crucifix statues, because Jesus said, do not make graven images in the 10 Commandments. And the Catholic Church removed the 10 Commandments that say, I think it's the second commandment or something. They changed it so that it really is only 9 commandments, but they split the 10th into 2 commandments, so there's 2 coveting ones. I have it at home. I've put it on my channel. You can go back and look at it if you can find it. I have like 400 videos. Sometimes it's hard to find stuff, and they removed about 50 of them that talked about something that happened in the 2020 era for 2 years when they locked us in our house. But many people don't realize that there's a very good chance that Barbara Bush was a dude, and it was the son, dressed as a woman, of Aleister Crowley. It makes a lot of sense when George Bush Sr. is the one who announced the New World Order, and also was part of the Trilateral Commission and part of Skull and Bone Society 322. March 22nd, maybe? Yeah, March 22nd. Sorry, I'm not good with numbers sometimes. So, and who knows if that's even like a date of something that's coming or whatever. Who knows, because they do a lot of stuff backwards, and they, do a lot of gematria and stuff like that. Even the recent assassination of the people at the Black Rock building or whatever, they were all like on the 33rd floor and all this other stuff, and there's a lot of like Masonic connections and things like that, because Freemasonry is like the highest that they tell you about is the 33 degree, like Club 33 at Walt Disney World, where Katy Perry was there and like had the menu showing like the club, and like what's the connection? The connection is that they openly worship Lucifer. Freemasons worship Lucifer. They call him the light bearer. That's what the Statue of Liberty is. And we don't live in America named after Amerigo Vespucci. We live in America, the land of the feathered serpent. That's why Ka is the snake's name in the Jungle Book made by Walt Disney. That's why Howl's Moving Castle made by Walt Disney. He is a flying feathered bird when he transforms, and he is transformed through magic that he received from a falling star that is named after a demon, because it is a demon. Howl's Moving Castle is about a castle made of all these different little shacks that come together as a moving house that has legs, and the fire in the fireplace is the demon that gives the house the power to move around. And Howl, this all happens during like World War II, and at night Howl turns into a bird and he goes and fights against the World War II planes like he's a good guy or something like that, but he's not. So when you hear the song by Walt Disney, "When you wish upon a star, everything will come to you," they're saying when you wish upon a demon, because a falling star is not a star at all. A falling star is a demon that flies up to the firmament to listen to the decrees of heaven. They tell you this in the Testament of Solomon. The demons tell you this. They go up and they listen to the decrees of heaven because they can hear them through the firmament, because they can't escape and neither can we. And once their wings get tired, they fall and they burn up men's cornfields, it says. Jeepers Creepers was made by a Satanist, the movie, where he takes parts of human beings and makes like skin wallpaper and like rips their eyes out so he can have eyes and all that. It's made by a Satanist. Now, you could go look up everything I'm saying and it's all true. These are the types of things that I look into and research, and it's almost like on a basic level. You can just find it out. It's not like hard to find. But George Bush Sr. and his son George Bush Jr. that destroyed the World Trade Centers, and there's pictures of it in Epstein's apartment where Bush has paper airplanes flying him into the building, and Bill Clinton's wearing Monica Lewinsky's dress and all that. These people are so sick and twisted that you couldn't fathom it. They go to satanic rituals. They do satanic things. They eat children. They eat the pineal gland of children for a drug. The rappers like Jay-Z and all of them, when you see a red juice in their cup, it's not what you think it is. You see like a golden juice in their cup, it's not what you think it is. You couldn't imagine what it really is. And this is what Satan gives to people when they worship him. But it comes at a price. And that price is your children. Your firstborn either has to get murdered or it has to become a transgender. And there is a controversy where Candace Owens said that Emmanuel Macron's wife is actually a guy with a wig. And that's true. It is. And you can tell looking at it that it is. It doesn't look like a woman. You can't tell somebody that's blue when it's green. And you can see that it's green, but they keep saying it's blue, it's blue, it's blue. And you're like, no, it's green, dude. I can see it. And no matter how many times they tell you that it is something that it's not, it doesn't make it what they're saying that it is. And if you go along with the lie, and you're like, oh, well, they're not hurting anybody. Yeah, actually they are. They are hurting a lot of people. They're hurting little children's minds by telling them a lie. That's why you shouldn't tell kids that Santa Claus is real. It's a lie. So from the early conception of a child, they're 5, 6 years old, and you're telling them that Santa Claus is real, when Santa Claus is actually Satan, and Coca-Cola uses it as a marketing thing. And you don't think it's a little weird that God was rebuking the ways of the Nicolaitans, and we call him Saint Nicholas, and people worship a tree that they cut down in the forest and put silver and gold tinsel on it, and Jeremiah said that's what they were doing back in the day, and the Christmas tree is actually like representative of Nimrod's genitalia and his testicles. That's why you put, ornaments on your tree. Nobody even notices. They don't even care. And then you put an angel statue on the top of your tree, and it's possessed by a demon, because anything that is made in a graven image can have a demon inside of it. And one of my old friends used to tell me that McDonald's toys are possessed, and I didn't really think about it, but every time that we would used to go, when I was 5 and 6, we'd used to go to McDonald's all the time. Went to Christian school. My parents would bring me McDonald's for lunch sometimes. Whenever you get the toy, that night I would have a nightmare. And I used to have nightmares about Freddy Krueger and Chucky, and I never even seen the movies. I would have the most horrible nightmares of like the cats from the play Cats chasing me around my house and finding me. I'd have dreams of witches finding me in the dark and stabbing me in the spine. And it was always after we went to McDonald's. And this woman told me that she also had the toys from McDonald's at her house, and God told her that they are cursed. The toys are cursed by witches. And what you don't realize is that there is an underwater in the ocean, which is where the demons live. In the Testament of Solomon tells you that. Peniel Nagande on YouTube tells you this too. There is a demonic kingdom, and in the demonic kingdom in the ocean, which is why they say that we go to space, because they know the demons live in the ocean and they're protecting them. And Ghislaine Maxwell was a proponent of protecting the oceans, and her father owned Pergamum Press, which taught all the school children incorrect information all throughout the world. In the ocean, they have places where they curse toys and curse things that we use, and they sell them in stores. So there might be a box that's normal of like soap, but then there's a box that came from the underworld, and it's cursed. And you bring it in your house and you wash your entire body, which is the temple of God, because the Spirit of God lives in human beings, which is why they did the thing they did in 2020, because they were trying to change the DNA of all human beings on the earth, and they didn't succeed in that. That's why George Bush, who's related to Obama, is the one who destroyed the World Trade Center, the two towers. The two towers represent the wheat and the tares, the good humans and the bad humans, the goats and the sheep. And if you watch the movie Godzilla, the twin towers are still there, and lightning strikes one of the towers. And then now there's only one tower, and it's called the One World Freedom Center. The New World Order is the One World. The One World Freedom Tower. So who are they becoming free from? They're saying that they're becoming free from God. They're trying to be like Nimrod, who is actually the demon. There are many different demons inside of Obama, but they resurrected Gilgamesh, Nimrod. It's in Hillary Clinton's emails, and they resurrected him, which is right around the time when the Mummy movies came out. They were going into Iraq. They put the movies out because they're telling you what they're doing, and because they tell you what they're doing, they run on karma and dharma, and they believe, which is probably true because there are universal laws. So if they tell us what they're doing, they're not responsible for us being stupid and not paying attention to it. And yeah, they're in power, but we could still know that it happened, but people are blind and they don't pay attention to what's really going on. So they go into Iraq. They're number one, they're looking for the stone that fell out of Satan's crown, which is a giant emerald, which is seen in the movie The Goonies and Heavy Metal 2000. And they are looking for that, and they probably needed it to resurrect Nimrod. And Nimrod, if you don't know, ruled the world for 180 years. He was one of the 10 kings, part of the 10 king prophecy. And Joseph was one of the good ones, and then Nimrod was one of the bad ones. And there were two Nimrods, actually, but one of the Nimrods I'm talking about was killed by Esau. Jacob and Esau from the Bible. Esau cut off Nimrod's head, and he was running for his life because the guards were chasing him, And Nimrod was a hunter of men. He could hold a lion in his arms like a baby. He was huge. He did sex magic like Aleister Crowley and L. Ron Hubbard in the desert, how they opened Babylon's gate or whatever and couldn't close it. Nimrod did that. He had sex with his mother, his daughter, and his sister, which God says don't do. And he became 2/3 fallen angel by doing sex magic, because he was already part fallen angel, because his mother was human and his father was a fallen angel. And that's why he was so big. He also took the garments of power, which were passed down from Adam, which is the coat of many colors that Joseph had, and it allows you to have power over animals and power over demons and things like that. And men are attracted to you when you have it on, like a magnet. So that's why, like, everybody just followed him and did whatever he said, because he had the coat, which was stolen away from the children of Adam. And there's a process that it went through, and I can explain that later, but it's kind of like something I would probably screw up if I just said it off the top of my head. But Nimrod was hunting, and Esau saw the chance to kill him, so he cut his head off, which is interesting that he had to cut his head off, because that's what Goliath had to have his head chopped off, or he would regenerate, because giants regenerate if you don't cut their head off. So David killed Goliath that way. Then the head got put underneath Golgotha, which is where Jesus was crucified. So then Nimrod has his head chopped off by Esau, and he's running, and he runs to Jacob, and he's like dying basically. He's so hungry, and he sells his birthright to Jacob, who becomes Israel, and that is the father of the 12 tribes of Israel, which is spoken of in Numbers and like all that, you know. So Nimrod, his body was in Iraq or whatever, in that area, and they found him and they resurrected him, and they put that spirit into Obama. Now, if Nimrod had his head chopped off by the children of Israel, if you were resurrected, what is the one thing that you would want to do? You'd want to get revenge. What would you do to get revenge? You'd chop everybody's head off that chopped your head off. Who is gonna chop their heads off? Well, Obama ordered 30,000 Chanel guillotines, which is kind of gay that they're Chanel. And they're probably scented. So he orders 30,000 guillotines, and we don't put the connection together. Like, why is it that Obama ordered these guillotines, and the Bible says that we will have our heads chopped off? And there's FEMA camps in every single state. There's a FEMA camp. New Hampshire's is up near the Canadian border at a lake that's not even on Google Maps. Like, the camp's not. You can't even tell it's there. You have to like know what the address is to know where it is. Why do they have that? What do they need a secret camp for? Because they're going to shut the power off. They're going to EMP the country. They're going to shut the power off. Everybody's going to be starving to death and killing each other and running for their lives. So they're going to go to Walmart, which is run by the military, because most people are living day to day and week to week off of EBT food stamps. So they're having Trump shut the food stamps off. So then people are like, they can't get food. So then the economy collapses. And then everybody's running to Walmart because their computer systems are already systematically put together for a military takeover, because the military's computers run on the same software as Walmart. So you're going to go to Walmart. You can't get food unless you sign up for the new world order, Mark of the Beast. So they inject you with an RFID chip that runs on a lithium-ion battery that is charged through heat exchanges between either in your forehead or on your hand, is the only place in the human body where heat exchanges change enough in the daily course of your activities where it would be enough to charge a battery of that size. And this is predicted in the Bible, that they will make you take a mark in your forehead or in your hand. So they make you do that, but at the same time they inject you with an RFID chip. An AI looks into your eyes and makes you bow down before a digital blue little image of Obama as the Antichrist, and if you solemnly swear and pledge your allegiance over to Obama the Antichrist, and it takes your soul. This AI thing has the ability to take away your soul. And whether you step into the machine and it takes your soul, or if it knows that you're lying and you just did it not to die and it kills you and chops your head off in the machine, it doesn't matter. You're not going to heaven either way. And this is like a dream this woman had, that this was what's going to happen. And what I just said about Walmart having the same computer system is a fact. If you look into what the government contracts are for Walmart, if there's like something bad that happens in the United States, that's why they strategically place Walmarts where they do, and that's why certain ones are closing right now, is because they know there's a catastrophe that's coming and they know exactly where it's going to be at. Go look at the future Navy maps. The Navy knows where the floods are going to come, and they're closing Walmarts accordingly, and they're putting underground military bases under the Walmarts that are going to be the main hubs. And they're already building the White House in Colorado. They already have it all set up to go. And they're going to take Trump out of the picture, and then he's going to go live in like Elysium or some far off continent somewhere if they don't really kill him. Probably transfer his consciousness and put him in a clone body and put him in like one of the continents past the ice wall so he can like live out his existence in luxury until Christ returns and kills them all. And then that's the end of America. Obama was reading a book called The End of America when he was stepping off a plane, and they like tried to scrub the picture. They killed the person that was trying to bring up his passport that he was from another country, because you're not allowed to be a U.S. president if you're born in another country, and he was born in Kenya or whatever. Then Obama said on live TV, "Be still and know that I am God." Why would he read a Bible verse? He's a Muslim. Everybody knows he's a Muslim. Even his family said he's a Muslim. But I don't understand how you could be a Muslim and gay at the same time, because Muslims don't believe that you can be gay. They throw you off rooftops if you're gay. So, like, that's a conundrum. But, I mean, I guess that's why they're hiding it so much, that he is gay, because then all the Muslims wouldn't follow him if they knew that he was gay. But the Muslims and the Masons have one thing in common, and that's that they both hate Christians. They have scimitar on their hats, the giant sword that used to be used to kill Christians or infidels back in the days of the wars, like in the movie The Kingdom of Heaven. Back in those days, when they're having those wars, they would chop your head off with a scimitar. The Muslims and the Shriners, which are Masons, have that sword on their hat. And that's what they also have. Pharaoh looks like Obama on their hat. Why? Because they want to kill Christians. Same thing. They're buddies. And that's how this is all related. The hatred of Jesus, the hatred of Christians. They want to murder Christians. They want to torture Christians. They're going to torture Christians and kill them. They're already doing it in China. God has punished China for their persecution of Christians, both through flooding and economic turmoil. And the same thing is going to happen to America. And people in America don't realize this is happening. They go about their day. They just go to work because they're so tired. They just go to work and they do the same thing over and over again just because they got to make it, got to pay the bills, got to pay the mortgage, got to do this and that. Trust me, I get it. But in the Maccabean Wars, there was like 50 dudes that stood up against it. Everybody else just went and sacrificed at the altar. And Judas Maccabeus' dad, he's like, nope. And he went and killed the dude that was part of his own people that was sacrificing at the altar. The abomination of desolation. He was sacrificing at the altar. The dude killed him, killed the guards, and the whole family took off and left all their possessions and ran off into the woods. And I'm telling you that I've dreamed that Obama chases me and my wife while we have like bug out gear on, and I'm telling you this is coming. And I'm telling you right now, if you believe in Jesus Christ, you don't want to be a subject of the devil. You don't want to be part of the demonic New World Order system and you want your freedom, you want your body and your mind and your soul to be yours, and you want Jesus to have it to be his, so you give yourself to him. If you want that, then you got to dip. You got to just get your stuff and dip. And when I say dip, I mean it's not going to be easy. You're not going to be able to get all the stuff that you had before, and you're going to be struggling, but Jesus is going to make a way. And John the Baptist's mom, she had to run off into the wilderness with John the Baptist and leave Zechariah at the altar, and he was murdered at the altar. And she ran away with no provisions, and Jesus took care of her and John, and she eventually died. But John the Baptist lived on to be beheaded, and that's what they're going to do to us. So you can't be afraid of that, and you shouldn't be afraid of that, because once they kill your body, they can't do anything to your soul. You should be afraid of the one that can send your soul into Gehenna. It's true. You should. You think any pain in your body, your aches and pains of your knuckles or your elbows or your arms or knees or your headaches or your even cancer or any of that stuff is comparable to hell? It's not. So don't be afraid of the devil. He already lost, but he's being given this power on this earth at this time so that God can do things in this world and save a lot of souls who otherwise probably wouldn't have ever even thought about Jesus Christ. So help speed the coming of Jesus Christ and preach the gospel to whoever you can find. And don't be afraid to preach it. And don't be afraid to tell people that you're a Christian or that you love Jesus Christ or that he died for their sins or any of that stuff, because it's true. And anybody that tells you it's not true, they're just blind. And they're misled. So anyways, guys, I hope you have a fantastic day. Second video because I got a long ride today. So I hope this finds you well. Jesus be with you all. God bless you and take care. Bye-bye.